gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. First thing first, I would like to tell you a rebuttal for me, the government to the opening oppositions. First one, the opening opposition said that with this motion of K-pop, they think that they can express diversity of beauty standards. But do you know that the idol itself also get harassed because of their darker skin or ugly shape of certain body shape? This one is really concerning because sometimes it also showed on national TV, where idol harassed by the MC within how they say that they are ugly in the dark skin tone, it's dirty, yada yada yada. If you said that the beauty standard in racist, yes, you're right, but the reality is that they still mock the ugly one, whatever they present. Furthermore, how the opening opposition said that the beauty standard is variative and it all came from society is totally nonsense. Why? In this case, the idol from K-pop suffered from the enforcement by agency and the beauty standard itself doesn't make sense. If it came from society, idol forced to use the makeup based on what the preference of agency, and it also tend that the agency searching for profit based on the makeup brand they released. I ever known this from the idol Sorn of CLC. She released a beauty brand and their fans are massively bought the makeup products because these clothes of idol. This shows that the beauty standard itself are under control of the agency of K-pop for the sake of profit they exploited from K-pop idol. I shall remind you, moving on to my argument first, I shall remind you all that the opening debates talk more about beauty standards. Instead of talking about that, CG will talk about how sexual harassment happened in K-pop. Why I think we need to bring this case, of course this case will be more crucial and somehow this is appropriating to see how the idol objected sexually. This shall be the urgency of idol in K-pop, especially women. I think sticking to toxic fan culture that tied with sexual objectification could be more urgent than beauty standards. Why? Why I bring and consider this as an important case to the motion because I think the opening branch failed to propose on how this K-pop things is harmed regarding to feminist movement. Also, the opening government giving us lack of urgency that more matters and the arguments related. I got to say that the objectification they meant were really confusing and not that trustworthy. Several points regarding the problematic in K-pop are actually concerning. I've ever heard several things such as inappropriate fan cam, sasayang, or the obsessive fan to their idol as objectifications, and such. I've known that the news of Super Junior member ever robbed by the sasayang and the things they steal is underwear. Isn't it nasty? Of course, who would have got the underwear to fulfill their normal adoring to idol? We could assume that this fan is crossing their limit to inappropriating idol privacies and sexual. Let me tell you more of my example I know. You know that there are idols that suffer from depression and some of it caused by how netizens blaming them. I reminded of the late Sully of FX. She suffered from depression and many people concerned that the cause of her depression is on how netizens blaming her sexually. I know feminist movement work to increase the woman pride, but what happened to the late Sully? She showing the confidence she got, but the netizen rather blaming her instead. Because of her confidence to her body, she rather got bad comments on her Instagram instead of how the good comments as the feminist too. Or the one that happened in military concert, where brave girls performed with the demand in a quote mini dress in front of a group of adult men. Doesn't this sound concerning and terrifying? To see 4 women perform in a sea of adult men. They even objectify the members blatantly about the sexual part in the online communities. Moreover, it's also happened in the fan sign that idol usually do. That idol, especially women, objectified sexually right in the area, in that narrow area. For real, sexual objectification won't ever be ended if this kind of case is normalized. Idol also can't do anything because the agency tend to search for the profit only. They don't even think of how the feelings of the idol. As what I said before, the fanboying and fangirling culture makes the idol feeling uncomfortable if it crossed the limit. Idol represented as a product of sexual. and they can complain about it because they are all under the control of their agency. That is why I'm proudly oppose the act of K-pop idol on the K-pop industry and is under I'm sorry, that is why I'm proudly oppose the act of K-pop idol on the K-pop industry under the act of feminist. Last thing, because as I know, this is gonna be my last argument. As I know, feminist itself is the movement for the sake of the woman pride. But in K-pop, this kind of pride seems like it's decreasing to showing that idol is an object, a product to fulfill the lust of fans. As you know that I told you before, fan signing, and then how idol need to repent to their fans, they need to fulfill their fans' demand and such. And moving on, so once again, I told you that we really oppose this, I'm really oppose this every act in K-pop industry that happen in the idol, especially the woman idol. When you think that woman idol is oftenly sexualized and they got harassed sexually, like, touch and then fan cam and then camera and then what? When it's on, even in it's on television, they got harassed. We really don't normalize that at all because we think that it's such concerning and it's terrifying when that women objectified as object, and when women tend to like surfing their body and their full body to just for their fans, for the sake of the fans. So that is why I think we are done to oppose this. We are done to oppose this motion of K-pop as a feminist. I think that's all for my argument. Thank you.
Okay, without any further ado, before I present my arguments, I will rebut the argument from the opening opposition first, which says that there are various types of beauty standards or diversity in beauty standards in the K-pop industry. For example, there is Hwasa, which is representative of the diversity of beauty standards itself in the K-pop industry. And I'll say that Hwasa, who has 10 skin tone, is proof that the beauty standards in the K-pop industry itself, it exists in the K-pop industry is not because it is representative of the K-pop industry, who shows that there's a various beauty standard. Hwasa has toned skin tone. They prove that beauty standard in the K-pop industry is not just that. I mean, like white or bright skin, the eyes with double eyelids, and then a small face, and so on. And from Hwasa's example, the opening opposition denies that there are no problem in the K-pop industry, especially in terms of beauty standards. But do you know that actually this Hwasa used to be victims of the bullying from beauty standard in the K-pop industry itself, and she is often being insulted, like her skin is dirty, she is not Korean because she has skin that is not bright or white or other kind of these insults. Then she can motivate other people related to beauty standards in K-pop industry, because actually she won against or fight the beauty standards that exist in the K-pop industry itself, and not because she is representative of the K-pop industry, which shows that there are various beauty standards in the K-pop industry. And even in some TV shows in the K-pop industry itself, there are racist attitude towards some idols who do not meet their beauty standards, especially those with dark or tan skin tones. And my next rebuttal is for the argument presented by the deputy of opposition, who stated that it was society that created the beauty standard, and those in the K-pop industry only using it to gain the profit for some agencies. But in my opinion, the opposite is happening. I mean, the parties in the K-pop industry itself are trying to make beauty standard to be applied in society with the aim of generating certain profits. And very usually beauty standards that have been successfully created by the K-pop industry will attract people's attention to follow them. And the agencies, use their idol to make it happen. I mean, they ask the idol to promote some beauty standard to make the society follow or imitate them. And it's because society tends to believe what they see on their idol. For example, when an idol advertise for the makeup that makes her face to be smaller or brighter, the society will learn to buy this kind of product that represent some beauty standard. And as we know that the whatever is shown in the mass media like television, newspaper, and then social media will have a psychological impact on the community, which indirectly or unconsciously makes people imitate what they see in the mass media. So it's absolutely wrong if the opposition say that the beauty standard comes up from the society itself. Then, as my first speaker said earlier, that in the opening team themselves, they all failed to bring out the urgency of this problem because the keyword of this motion is aggressively. So the problem or urgency that must be discussed must also be something that crucial. And added from the argument my first speaker said before, that the issues of beauty standard is related to the culture, so there is still a debate about this kind of problem. And okay, back then to the aggressively opposed, that the issues should be crucially discussed in this motion instead of bringing up the issue of beauty standard. There is another issue that more crucial. It's sexual harassment in the K-pop industry. Why this issue sexual harassment is more important? I mean, to be aggressively criticized in the K-pop industry, because sexual harassment itself is related to an individual's self-esteem, and then as we know that the one of human needs is a law of need theory. I mean in the law of need theory that mentioned by Abraham Maslow, that human has a self-esteem to be fulfilled, and if someone commits sexual harassment, the self-esteem itself of the individual has been tarnished on, and can cause many negative impacts, such as psychological side of individual himself, like mental breakdown and kind of like that. And where feminists are trying to criticize this problem aggressively, because the problem of sexual harassment in the K-pop industry, feminism movement have this kind of aims that empower women with formed in about self-esteem of individuals. And then I will elaborate the argument presented by my closing speaker. And many people in the K-pop industry, sometimes they just focus on things related to sexual attraction than enjoying the work of the K-pop idols themselves. And for example, a case I have seen myself in the MV of girl group that quite famous, and there's a scene that show that private idol itself accidentally, rather than the viewers trying not to discuss this kind of phenomenon. They are just reported to the agency. They turn it into meme related sexually things. And as we know that in the K-pop industry, there's a term fan cam, where fans of K-pop idols to get video or photos directly on air. And it's a culture like this, that K-pop industry, there are so many cases of sexual harassment that may be revealed or followed. And based on this debate, I think that the government more relevant to stop this industry for like the feminist movement, because especially the closing government can bring more social problem rather than the opening team. And for the debate analyzing, we think that the gov deserve to be more relevant and urgent to their argument, but this kind of industry despite to the feminine movement while the government failed against our agency through their arguments. Thank you.